What's up, Tackle Warehouse fans? Jake and Thomas here today. We're doing something a little bit different. We're gonna give you guys an ICAST roundup and the TW staff pick. So these are kind of all the baits that everyone in our office, the buyers, web editors, everyone that we all kind of voted on, kind of what we thought was like the best stuff that came out at ICAST and the stuff that we were most excited about. Some of the stuff kind of flying under the radar, you know, stuff that we actually thought was super, super cool. This is gonna be part one. We're gonna do another one later down the road when we get more of the stuff in stock or get some more samples in our hands. But for right now, we got some samples to show you, some stuff that's up for pre-order, and some stuff, most of it is actually available to buy now. It's in stock, ready to go right now. So, first one, what do we got here, Tom?
Yeah, that's right, Jake. You know, like you were saying, we reached out to a bunch of people in our house or in staff, so we're giving you our best of the best in-house picks. So as you guys are following along, make sure to comment. Let us know. Do you agree with us? Did you like something else? But yeah, let's jump right in. So first up, we're gonna start with a new one from River to Sea. So this is the River to Sea Tactical Wake 210. Gets that tactical from the dynamic duo at Tactical Bassin. So Matt Allen, Tim Little, worked with River to Sea for over a decade to get this one together. So it's a pretty unique wake bait. You're gonna be able to do a lot of different things with this one. And that's kind of my favorite part about it and why I think it got a lot of votes in our office is how versatile it is. So if you wanna crawl this thing super slow on the surface, it's gonna do a really, really wide, slithering top water commotion there. It just cause a huge wake behind it. But conversely, you can like kick your reel into high speed and get a nice tight, hard thumping action. So you're gonna get a ton of motion out of this tail, and then that single joint design, it's gonna add some of that clacking sound to it too. And just a ton of details. You know, I had a chance to talk with Matt and Tim about this thing, and I mean, I'm sold on the bait itself, but listening to those guys talk about it, how much time they put into this thing, all the cool ways that you can use this thing to get a ton of, you know, big fish, bunch of bites, I'm pretty excited about this one. And I noticed in some of the comments you guys were wondering about the hardware on this thing. Well, I mean, let me tell you, 4X strong, custom Teflon coated hook. This thing is sticky sharp and really, really smooth.
That is a mean treble hook.
It's a mean treble hook. Yeah, so it's a pretty cool wake bait. What do you think about this one?
I think it's pretty awesome. Like, again, watching the video that Matt and Tim put out with a lot more detail about this bait than the information that we got preliminary. Especially, you know, the key little details like that reverse bill on there so that your hooks don't snag up.
Nuts,
and
right?
And it kind of sheds grass, just like stuff that I've never seen anyone else, you know, think about. You know, that swinging tail design. I think it's going to be really cool. But this was one that was really highly anticipated in our office.
Oh yeah.
I remember we just had the name of what it was. We didn't have a picture, a sample, or anything. So we were super stoked when they finally came in and we actually got to look at them. I think this is probably one of the top picks between everyone in the office.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So cool new top water option. I mean, you know, dynamic from those duo. So what else we got?
All right, again, from River to Sea, we have their new opening bell buzzbait. Again, another one that everyone in the office is super intrigued by. We're pretty excited to try this one out just because it's something different, totally unique. You know, some of these baits on here, we've already covered in our previous What's News, but again, these are the top picks of all the stuff that we think is really, really cool and we want to try. So, you know, just breaking the mold of a traditional buzzbait with that kind of inline wire, you know, that big blade on the front, and that plastic, kind of a hard plastic crankbait body, and then that loud clacker on there. So this thing,
pretty wild. Yeah,
this thing is gonna be super, super loud. You know, they got the skirt on the back, so it still has that kind of tail action like a normal buzzbait does. And then that gaff of a hook on there. I mean, we could be gaffing saltwater.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
It's a huge, huge hook. And then you have the option of a treble hook on there.
Do they include that hook?
Yeah. In the package, you get the treble hook with it. So if you want to fish it more open water, you can do that. If you're running over kind of maybe limbs and grass and stuff like that, you don't want the treble hook. You know, you don't have to run it on the bottom. You're still gonna have that giant hook on there. And not really any need for a trailer because it sticks out so far and it's such a large gap hook. But just something different. It's gonna be super loud too. I think it's gonna be one of the louder buzzbaits out there on the market for sure. And just something that looks completely different.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I'm pretty stoked about it. What other, I know we got a few more top waters. What else are we gonna
go? Let's stick above the surface. Yeah, I'm excited to use that one too. Boisterous, gonna call a lot of fish up. Well, let's take a look at one that's not gonna be quite as noisy, but it's really gonna call fish with that action. So we got a new one from CAST. So this is the CAST OG Floater. You guys may recognize this one, we've covered it before, but this is definitely one of the top picks from a number of people in our office here as kind of one of a cool, exciting new topwater lures. Since we've covered it, you know, we'll just go over real basic features. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff going on for it, this killer finish on the outside. again, great hooks. That's what's been really nice about, you know, kind of baits in general.
Yeah.
But especially this year, they're coming out with that killer hardware right out of the box.
Yeah,
They don't have
which
to change
is what
it
you
out.
want. Because I mean, if you're buying more expensive baits, and then you're having to put hardware on them in addition. You know, it just adds up the cost. But when it comes ready to go, right out of the box, it's definitely a plus.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I mean, no difference here. Great hardware. It has a swiveling hook hanger up front, which again, I really like that. Just kind of takes away the leverage of the fish so they can't throw this bait. But look, I mean, what does this look like to you?
I mean, it looks like any old spook,
Right?
topwater, pencil bait, like, you know,
Exactly.
every other topwater that we use that's on the market.
Exactly what I thought as well. You know, another cool topwater bait, awesome. It's gonna walk, that's great. But no, not at all. That's not what this thing's designed to do. This is not a walking bait. So this one you're gonna kind of burn and pause it, and as it's running along the surface, it's gonna dive, it's gonna jump, it's gonna splash, it's gonna throw water, and then when you pause that thing, they're gonna smash it or they're gonna grab it on the run. So it's pretty cool. I mean, the market anymore is getting flooded. There's only so much stuff that can come out. So it's kind of nice this year seeing some innovation above the surface. You know, we got the cast floater here, that river to sea opening bell. We got this crazy wake bait right here. So it's just kind of cool seeing the industry innovate a little bit in a crowded market.
And you know, they draw a lot of their inspiration on that one from, you know, that's all the saltwater industry
Right.
and the saltwater lures. I've been doing a lot of saltwater fishing this year, so it's kind of making me think about different lures in a different way. And it's, I mean, seeing the action on that thing, they have a bunch of footage, and seeing the bags of spots that they're catching on those blueback herring lakes, are ridiculous. So especially if you fish in those blueback herring lakes where the fish are schooling, especially in the summertime, that is one you want right there.
No kidding.
Yeah, those guys have been doing some damage with that bait.
Yeah, this thing's pretty awesome. All right, so now we're gonna kind of dip away from topwater, but we're still gonna stay in that upper column. So we got a new one from BaitSanity. This is the BaitSanity Antidote Tug Glide Bait. Another really versatile bait, you know, and that's kind of seems to be a theme this year a little bit as well. You know, versatility, kind of getting as much utilization as you can out of it. So again, swiveling hook hanger up front, premium hardware, that's what I want to see in an expensive bait like this one. But man, the innovations on this thing are next level. So it actually has their glide leap system, which is right up front here. It's this kind of sliding, pivoting weight. What that's gonna allow you to do is work this one slow and on top, so kind of like a wake bait, splashing, throwing a ton of water around, just causing a bunch of commotion. But with a steady retrieve, it's actually gonna dive down 2 to 3 feet. So that actually makes it pretty crazy and innovative. I mean, you and I spent a little bit of time on the water up at New Melones, a clear water fishery up here, a bunch of big spots, but there was a lot of interesting transitions where it would go from, you know, exposed timber into kind of some deeper water. I think this thing's gonna shine there. You know, you splash it along the surface, you know, at that timber, but then as soon as you clear that wood, when you wanna dive down there a little bit further, then you start that steady retrieve, so you're just gonna really be able to cover, you know, more water with this thing. Pretty neat.
Oh yeah, and I know that's one of the lakes they tested this bait at, and Fahad has made a bunch of cool swim baits, and that guy has caught a lot of big fish.
Definitely.
I mean, he's got a proven track record, and specifically in those areas, the way this bait moves, how it kind of, I guess, breezes or wakes across the surface.
Exactly.
It looks just like those trout in that area when they come up and it's slick calm and they're just eating bugs off the surface. Like, they nailed it with that bait to like perfectly mimic like what those fish do up there.
For sure. That was a lot of fun watching all those trout, you know, breeze, seemed like the same time every day. They would come up and it was pretty nuts. I think that's what this was mimicking. Ton of smart features in here. You know, you got carbon fiber fins, which, yeah, they look awesome, but they also serve a purpose. It's gonna prevent getting hook rash in here. So this thing's just gonna remain premium for a long time. And then they have these fishnet fins back here. So
the scent fins are like my
the
favorite
scent fins,
part.
awesome. I mean, you can remove them, you can wash them. Perfect place to add your favorite scent on there. And then also, it just kind of adds a little bit of bubble trail. You know, I haven't got to use this one specifically, but I did get a little bit of a behind the scenes footage from Fahad, and he definitely showed kind of that action on there. So it's pretty neat, cool one, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and that one's available for pre-order. I think it's coming in around November, middle of November.
Yep.
But that's when you definitely want to pre-order and get your hands on.
Exactly.
Because they're a little bit, because all the innovative parts to it, they are harder to produce. So if you want one, definitely put one on pre-order for sure.
No kidding, yeah. About that pre-order too, you know, some of the customers kind of wondered, you know, why am I gonna pre-order this thing? Well, especially with a bait like this, there's only gonna be so many. So like Cotta said, if you want it, you need to get on that pre-order list now.
Yeah, so you want to be the first one in line.
Exactly.
Because, you know, when the first batch comes, we don't know how long it's gonna be between the next batch. And we all know how the supply chain issues been over the last few years. So if you want one of those, definitely put it on pre-order.
All right, what you got?
Next one is another super interesting bait that was another top pick from a lot of guys in the office, is the new g-ratt, you know, hybrid swim jig. I think it's the Fighting Fish hybrid swim jig. This thing is super cool looking. I mean, I've never seen any other bait that kind of looks like this.
Right.
I mean, when you look at this, what do you think about it? Like, it looks like they're, putting multiple baits into one.
Which is kind of fun. I mean, you're gonna get what they're giving you right out the gate, which is premium, but you're gonna get to add to the back of this thing whatever you want, which makes it nuts.
Yeah. And on the head of it, so you're getting that kind of square bill crankbait, and then on the back here, there's actually 2 skirts. So, I mean, it's a bulky presentation. So you put whatever your soft plastic swim bait, soft plastic jerk bait,
Sure.
Big creature bait, whatever you want. And
big profile.
Super big profile. It's gonna dive a little bit. It's gonna, move like a square bill, but you're gonna have that just big soft plastic profile, and you can kind of match it up to whatever shape, whatever size, bait fish you're trying to replicate with it. But something that's gonna be like totally different. It's almost it's gonna give your soft plastic maybe that like chatterbait style action, but it's also gonna have like the head of a square bill. So it's gonna dive down and deflect off cover and do some crazy stuff.
There's a lot going on in that thing.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch going on, and like I think everyone's super intrigued just because it's so unique. And it could be one of those things that's, because it's so different and unique, that it's gonna catch a ton of fish. So we can't wait for this one to come in as well. This one's just a sample that we got. So we haven't got them in stock yet to actually fish them, but they're available for pre-order as well. So if you want to try them, make sure you get on the list on those as well.
Get on that list. You're going to be competing with me on there for sure.
Yeah,
I'm definitely buying
I think
a couple
half
of those.
of our office is probably, it's one of
No, I'm excited, and I think it's cool, kind of like Jake was saying, they're doing something a little bit different. Seems like our waters, all of them are super pressured right now.
Especially in California.
Exactly, and what a lot of bait companies have been doing, they've been going to the really small bait finesse stuff. Nothing wrong with that, that's awesome. But this is just a cool, full-size, big profile way to still be different.
Oh, for sure.
So I think that's neat.
Yeah, big profile, got a big hook on it, so you're gonna have no problem catching, putting a big trailer on there, catching big fish.
Exactly. All right, well, let's go the opposite direction. Let's take a look at a little finesse spinnerbait here. This one's from Depths. This is the Depths Mini Bros spinnerbait. This thing's cool. I'm excited about this one. They call it the magic lure in Japan. Kind of like what we were just talking about, super pressured, clear water lakes. This is what's getting them bites. So if it's working over there, I'm really hoping that it's gonna work here. California, clear water, high pressure. I think that's where this thing's gonna shine. So a ton of cool stuff going on this one. So you have a pretty soft arm in here that's gonna really enhance the vibration of these blades. The blades themselves, man, have you seen a blade like this before?
I mean, no. I mean, the last depth spinnerbait we had also had those eyes on it. And when you lay these things down to another spinnerbait, I mean, it's night and day difference on when you look at the quality of this spinnerbait compared to most other spinnerbaits on the market.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong, it's coming with a $20 price tag, which of all the things that I love and are my favorite about this thing, that may not be my most favorite part. But just like you were saying, when you lay this next to a different spinnerbait, something that's less quality, you're like, okay, I get it. I see where that price tag is coming from. But they got a lot of cool features in this one. So they have some channels cut into the head of this spinnerbait. It's gonna do a couple of things. It's gonna grab water, but it's also gonna give it kind of a vertical sway. So you're just gonna get some additional action out of that spinnerbait, which with a small compact profile, that added action, those premium blades, it's still gonna call fish in super well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you got a nice, really nice, sharp, sticky hook back there. That wire trailer keeper, which I really like when they add a wire trailer keeper on there. I like running.
Me too. I always run a trailer.
Same. I do the same thing. I'm always running a trailer, usually a little swim bait, sometimes a little creature or curly tail, whatever the case may be. But I hate it when those things slide down the shank of my hook. That's
if you have a spinnerbait that doesn't have a keeper on it, it's always a pain. And some of my favorite spinnerbaits don't have keepers on them, and I'm constantly going through plastics and like trying to keep them pinned up on there, trying to glue them and do all kinds of stuff, making a mess.
Right. Well, we have some cool spotted lake bass or spotted bass lakes around here. I'm excited to put this to use. Like I said, clear water, high pressure. That's where this thing's gonna shine.
Yeah, I always like a real small compact spinnerbait, and just it probably wouldn't be my first choice to go like pond fishing because those fish aren't really pressured anyway. But if you fish, somewhere where there's a lot of tournaments, I mean that's probably gonna be a great option for you, just to be a little bit different.
Exactly.
All right, next one we got here is crankbait. This is actually like a re-release product, and I'm kind of sad that I missed the boat on this crankbait. So this is the Evergreen Wild Hunch 8 crankbait. So I bought one of these crankbaits from TW when I first started working here, like 8 years ago, or whenever they came in. I was like, oh, that's cool, I'll try it. And I took it out, I threw it maybe for 30 minutes, didn't have success on it, and it's been sitting in a box for however many years.
I mean, not only, guys, you got to go to the product page. This can be proved right now. Not only did you buy one of these right when you came out, you were the first one to introduce it on What's New TW back in 2015. He showed us
that's how
this
long
thing.
ago. We had it that long ago, and it's kind of, I think it's been discontinued since then because people weren't buying it. but the Evergreen pros have been using this thing and not talking about it. So it's one of those crankbaits that like we all should have been using, and nobody only a select few people knew about it. But when you look at this thing, what style of crankbait does that remind you of?
I mean, it's got a lot of different stylings in there. Maybe like a little wiggly warty thing. What do we got?
It's for sure like that wiggle wart, Spro rock crawler style of, those wart craw style crankbaits. So, the Wild Hunch, this thing has got that really wide, hard wobbling action. What I like about it too is it's completely silent. So, especially if you're fishing a little bit more clear water, they have these awesome, translucent craw colors.
Right.
And then not having the rattle in there, having the silent, it just seems to get more bites, especially when there's a lot of people fishing around.
Totally.
And then this thing has so much action and vibration. I don't think you need the rattle in it. They hunt side to side when they deflect. Brett Height and Cody Meyer both talked about it. When you hit a rock with this thing, you can feel it on the end of your rod. Go out a couple feet side to side. So it's got some erratic action, heavy vibration. So you don't need the rattle on there. They got the translucent craw colors. They have the full painted craw colors, and they have some really, really cool colors. They're all focused around craws. So if you are fishing dirty water, don't worry about it silent. We have those bright colors, and this thing's gonna put off so much thump and vibration. It's gonna get tons of bites. It's gonna be deadly in that cold water that time of the year when those style of crankbaits really excel. Just something that's again, it's not something that every other guy's out there throwing. And it comes out of the package, outstanding paint jobs, premium hardware. If you don't know anything about Evergreen treble hooks, these are like some of the stickiest treble hooks on the market. I mean, all of us in the office, we would love to get our hands on just a pack of these things to put them on all of our baits.
No kidding.
Yeah, when you're tying on an Evergreen bait, be careful because you will stick yourself.
Yeah.
Just a super cool crank. Excited to use it. Actually bust it out of the box and probably tie it on again.
That's awesome. Like he was saying, it does look pretty similar to some really popular crankbaits that we all love putting to work, but it still does kind of stand out with that silent. You can actually, maybe you're following along in the tournament or just, fun day out on the lake. Maybe you're following behind another angler, and just that different silent approach could be the entirely different between no bites and a ton of bites.
And just how wide and aggressive the action is on it. It's for sure gonna trigger a lot of reaction bites.
You got another crank, right?
Yeah, another crank here. This one is actually from Dual Hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
This is their new Bullet 5 Plus crankbait. And I think we've both used this series of crankbaits. Have you used the bigger one up to the 7?
Bigger one.
Yeah, the 7. So they have a 7, and I believe they have the 3 and the 4. So they were kind of missing the gap in the middle, which is kind of, that depth range that everyone wants. That 15 to 20 foot diver. That's what the Bullet 5 is gonna get you. These crankbaits are awesome. If you've never used one in the series, they're phenomenal. They have that magnetic weight transfer system. So, I mean,
That's like a mile.
The weight transfer in this crankbait is just incredible. I mean, you can cast it. You can cast almost all the line off your spool. If you're using an 8-foot cranking rod, 12-pound, it's gonna fly for sure. Another cool design about this crankbait is the way they shape that bill and the way the shape of the body is. It dives down super quick, but they don't pull like the old deep cranks.
So nice.
Yeah, some of those old deep plugs, you're out there cranking all day.
They'll wear you out.
Yeah, they burn your wrist up, and it's hard. Not everyone's Keith Combs. Not everyone can crank 10XDs on 7.1 gear ratios. And this thing is going to make it easier to fish a deep crank all day. So if you like deep cranking, or you just maybe don't like deep cranking because it's it's kind of a workout all day to crank these things because there's so much leverage. This one gonna get you down there and super easy to throw all day.
Yeah.
But I mean, not just easy to throw, it performs phenomenally. There's been some big tournament catches out on the Tack Warehouse Pro Circuit on those ledge lakes with those 7+s. So if you're looking for something in that 15, 20 foot range, which is a great range to be in, especially this time of year, you want to be out cranking in that deeper water. That's gonna be a great crankbait to throw. They've got some really cool colors. They come with some super sharp hooks on them, just a sweet crankbait to add to their arsenal.
No, their pros have definitely been putting to work these crankbaits, and like you were saying, they had some sizes, the smaller ones and the deeper diving larger ones. But you're right, they're really filling in that little gap that they were missing. So now we can.
Yeah, I think
the fish got nowhere to hide now.
No, I think that's the one that everyone wanted. That range is going to be deadly for sure.
So we got them shallow to deep. There's no more hiding from us. All right, well that's cool. I like that. So I think
we're
done.
Go into some soft.
We're done with the hard baits. All right, let's take a look.
Actually, a bunch of vibrating jig trailers.
Yeah, and I gotta say that, I mean, topwater. Everyone loves topwater. Great. I mean, it's right up there. If it's not my second, it's tied with my first. My favorite way to fish is on that chatterbait, those vibrating jigs, whatever the case may be. Super cool. We got a ton of new trailers for just that. So the first one up here, we got a G-ratt, G-ratt. How are we saying this thing?
I'm calling it G-ratt.
All right, cool. Well, he's calling it G-ratt. I'm gonna go with G-ratt then. Let us know in the comments. What are you guys calling this thing? Well, hey, it's awesome, regardless, however you want to pronounce that name. So just like the Bellows gill, we now have the Bellows Shad. So they're taking that same, you know, aggressive ribbing, but they're kind of narrowing the profile a little bit. You got an aggressively tapered tail here, so you're just gonna get a ton of swimming action. So I mean, yes, absolutely, on those vibrating jigs, that's where I'm using this thing, gonna be deadly. But I mean, you're gonna be able to punch this thing. What else can you do with this? I'm thinking punching, maybe a little compact punch.
Yeah, you can flip with it, you can pitch with it. If you haven't used the Bellows gill already, you've been missing out. Yeah, you've been missing out. That bait gets tons of bites. It's that perfect kind of bluegill profile.
Yeah.
And you can do a bunch of stuff with it, but now they're just giving you that smaller profile. So there's a few more shad colors, but there's also the standard, you know, green pumpkins,
of course,
black blues and stuff like that. But just that more compact profile for when you want that smaller presentation.
Exactly. I mean, there's no secret about this thing. It works. Alton Jones Jr. designed this thing. Not only designed it, he's won, what, over 150K in cash on this thing.
Yeah, if you guys haven't been watching the Bass Pro Tour, I mean, he won a tournament, and I think he got a big fish in the heavy hitters. I think he won like 160 grand in that tournament.
One tournament on this thing.
But I know at the beginning of the year, watching on live, I saw him using that thing on spinnerbaits and vibrating jigs as a trailer, and we were wondering what it was, because we knew it wasn't the gill, because it wasn't as the big profile. So he's had this thing for a while and has been catching fish on it, and we've been trying to stop the live feed and trying to zoom in on what he was using.
Well, see, now the secret's out. You guys can use this thing too. I mean, this is just gonna be a killer, hard-hitting, super versatile. Like I was saying earlier in this episode, versatility seems to be kind of one of the themes here. So yeah, vibrating jig, spinnerbait, on its own, a little Carolina rig, flipping, punching, nice little compact one. You're gonna be able to get into vegetation, but still it's gonna pull a bunch of water, and it has that classic G-ratt scent to this thing. A little bit like Frito-Lay corn chip, that SAF scent.
We are big believers in the G-ratt scent, everyone in the office. I think they buy those things just because of the scent alone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look out, Max Scent. This is gonna be one of your competitors here. All right, well, that's a cool soft plastic. You got another trailer over there, though,
yeah,
right?
another highly anticipated one that we've been waiting
excited about this
I guess
thing.
all this stuff's highly anticipated, but this one in particular, the new Zocco 3-inch swim bait. So no secret, the Zocco 4-inch has been out for a few years now. One of our tops. I mean, once it's been out, it's been on our bestsellers page since then. It hasn't left.
Yeah, one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But that 4-inch, you know, really made for those full-size vibrating jigs and chatterbaits, specifically the jackhammer. But some of those chatterbaits and vibrating jigs, you know, some guys get them a little bit smaller profile, and that full-size 4-inch is just a little bit too big for it.
Oh yeah, it can kind of wash out the action almost.
Wash out the action. It's just too much plastic for, you know, those small like 1/4-ounce chatterbaits.
Exactly.
Now they've got the 3-inch. So
yes.
Yeah, this thing is awesome. We're all super stoked about it, and it's supposed to fit perfectly on that Mini Max chatterbait.
And that's what I'm excited to use it on.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, so you're getting all the same classic Zocco action, just in that smaller, more compact profile. So if you're doing like, if you have those smaller chatterbaits, that's gonna be the one that you wanna go with. But you can do other stuff with it. I think I'm gonna do, you know, like a nose hook drop shot.
Yeah,
One thing I'm gonna try this winter for sure is on like a small underspin.
There you go, a little bit of flash in there
It just has a little bit of action, but put it on an underspin in the wintertime. There's a bunch of stuff you can do with it.
Absolutely.
But we all know how successful the Zocco is, but now giving you that 3-inch model. Also, a bunch of new colors on there as well.
Some killer looking colors.
Yeah, this is one of them, the new Sexy Shad, and I like the way they did it. They didn't go over the top with the blue. It's still really clear, iridescent. You know, some people tried to make like a Sexy Shad or a green gizzard shad, and they just kind of go over the top. Yeah, too over the top with it. Yamamoto did really good with all the new colors, and there's a bunch of new colors through their whole line.
Oh yeah.
So like on the Cincos, the D-Shads, the Zoccos, a bunch of that stuff, a bunch of awesome colors.
I'm super excited. I mean, you know, we kind of mentioned it earlier. Around us, we have a lot of ultra clear fisheries, and of course, just like I'm sure where you're at, highly pressured fisheries. So downsizing is sometimes the difference between having that rod bent or you're going home with nothing in the boat.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna get a ton of bites. And just like you said, the colors, awesome, action, legendary. We already know that, proven, but now we got a new size for you.
Yeah, definitely gonna need to pick up a few packs of those.
No kidding. All right, let's finish up with one more vibrating jig trailer. And again, you can do so much more than just vibrating jigs with these things. This is just kind of one of my favorite ways to fish, so I'm gonna kind of hit on that every time. So we got a new one. This is the Netbait Swimming Minnow. So pretty unique little design. You can see we got a multi-jointed swim bait on here, so you're still gonna get a ton of action without having that more traditional paddle tail that you see on some of this size of swim bait. So I mean, I think that's cool. What do you think about that one?
I like that thing a lot. I like that big flat tail on it versus kind of, the smaller, like the fork tail on it. Yeah. It's gonna push a little bit more water. It's got the added fins on there. Another thing I like about it is maybe put it on like a spinnerbait, Sometimes you don't want that like kicking action.
Sure.
It just pulls back on the spinnerbait a little bit. That is gonna give you that big profile. Right. And the blades are gonna do plenty of work anyway to get that thing moving. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do with that.
What do you think about maybe like a scrounger style head as well?
Scrounger for sure. We're big fans of the scrounger head, and so that would be another good trailer for that as well.
Yeah, no, so just a ton of options for a trailer. I mean, you can absolutely rig this thing itself on a little ball head or something, or maybe that underspin like we were talking about earlier. But yeah, you're still gonna get some of that action with this multi-segmented body, and you don't need that paddle, that boot tail style. So I think this one's really gonna shine. Yeah, vibrating jig, scrounger style, spinnerbait, ton of options that you can do with this one, just like we've been talking about. A lot of versatility this year, which is helpful. I mean, we don't have to overload our bags, so that's kind of a nice one.
And what's it got in it?
It's got bait fuel.
Bait fuel. If you haven't heard about bait fuel yet,
that's
been the biggest craze over the last year. I don't know how many bottles of bait fuel we've sold this year, but now Netbait's actually got a whole bunch of baits with the bait fuel already infused in it.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys that are fishing out in the salt waters, any of my salty guys out there, bait fuel.
It works out there too.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been fishing with some of our buyers and they were using bait fuel and completely destroying everyone else that we were fishing around.
Oh yeah, so definitely you're gonna wanna check out this, all the other, like you're saying, we got a ton of different bait fuel infused baits. So check them out.
All right, I got another one here. This was actually one of my top picks.
Oh yeah.
The new 3-inch shad shaped worm from Yamamoto. So the 4-inch shad shaped worm has been out for I don't know how long.
A while.
And yeah, this year they came out with a couple new sizes. They got the 5-inch and then for sure my favorite, the 3-inch. And again, they added a bunch more colors to it as well. So there's a bunch of sweet shad colors. Before they were kind of limited to kind of only a couple of like really bait fish kind of colors.
Right.
Now there's a bunch more options, but that 3-inch bait is gonna get so many bites. It's that little 3-inch minnow style bait on a little nose hook, like a little number 2 or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna catch a ton of fish on this thing. So we're super pumped. Just a little bit more downsized than the 4-inch for those times when you got clear water, the fish are pressured, and you're just trying to get bites. That's gonna be the one to go. I already got a pack marinating and sent it home. I like to scent everything up. Specifically this one, little monster shad color.
Yep.
This is gonna be one you need to have drop shot, especially coming up here in the winter time. Or when it's just tough, maybe in the fall, and they're chasing that smaller bait fish. I know sometimes, like we see those just really, really small shad, and it's really hard to mimic those things.
How do you capitalize on those? Right there.
Yeah, and instead of going to like a 4-inch worm, you can go to this 3-inch, more of a bait fish profile than just a worm.
No, I'm stoked on that thing as well. As you mentioned, there's multiple sizes available. I think that little one is just gonna get you a ton of bites in those pressured and clear water fisheries that we've been talking about this whole episode. But if you wanna go to the upside, again, maybe you wanna throw it on the back of one of those, scrounger style heads, something like that. You're gonna get that action kicking, that little quivering tail gets moving pretty good on the back.
You don't have to do anything. And it's made out of the same legendary Yamamoto plastic.
Yeah,
so it's super soft. It's loaded with salt, so you don't even have to do anything, and that little tail moves in the water.
Exactly.
So you just hold it down there and just wait, and you're gonna get a bite.
If you want to dead stick that thing, it seems like a lot of bites come on dead sticks anymore. I mean, that thing's still gonna be shimmying in that water column. But we're not done with finesse baits from Yamamoto, are we?
No, we got another one. We got the new Ned Floater. So, a lot of this stuff has been more geared towards finesse. I think our office has turned into a lot of finesse enthusiasts.
Oh yeah.
So most of them not by choice either, just by necessity. You have to, because it's so pressured around here.
Exactly.
A lot of guys had to turn to really finesse tactics. So Yamamoto came out with a new Ned Floater. So this is not exactly the same traditional, Yamamoto plastic.
I was gonna ask, have we had a floating Senko before?
No. So they changed up their formula a little bit, but it's still super soft. Like you can feel one.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't feel, dense or like a harder material.
No.
It still feels just like regular Yamamoto plastic. Super soft, quivers, but it floats off the bottom now. So you can throw it. Yeah, you throw it on your favorite little Ned head. It's gonna stand straight up. And we all know how deadly the Ned bait has been. I mean,
Yeah.
What has it been, like 4 or 5 years now? And that
Easily.
Yeah, it's one of those things you have to have at all times.
You really do.
Especially if you're fishing smallmouth, spotted bass, but a lot of big largemouth have been caught on it.
Absolutely.
So it's for sure something finesse you got to have in your arsenal. And now that Yamamoto's got a premium offering for Ned baits.
I like it. And it seems like kind of where some of those other Ned baits fall short are the ones that struggle to float. Because if you're, especially if you're working it really slow, you want that upright profile. And that seems to be where some of the other soft plastics out there will struggle.
Yeah, some of them on the market, you know, they hit the bottom and they fall over. You're not getting that action that's standing up where you can just leave it there and having the bait work for you.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to constantly work that thing. So if you need something where you really have to slow down, you need that floating worm.
Yeah, and if it's got Zocco in the name, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it too.
Yeah, exactly.
And, oh, to mention, this is one of their new colors that they pretty much added through the entire line. Got a new fire craw color. I mean, I think fire craw has been one of the hottest colors for like the last
100%.
two years. I think almost nearly every Yamamoto bait is also offered in this new fire craw color.
Which is killer. I mean, just like he mentioned, you have to have the Ned rig in your boat every time you go out there. I think the other thing you have to have is at least 1 or 2 options that are in this color. It gets bites.
Whether it's a crankbait, flipping bait, a jig.
Yeah.
You gotta have some kind of fire craw in your boat.
Traditionally, spring, that's where that color really shines, but I mean, anymore, year round.
All right, last one up we got here. Exciting rod from Daiwa. So, yeah, we've been waiting for this thing. We actually knew about this rod quite a long time ago, and we were pretty pumped about it. They're in stock. You can actually buy them now. This is the new Daiwa XT Series. So, personally, I already own some of the old XT Series. Yeah, they're awesome rods. For $100, you couldn't beat them. And now they made it even better.
I didn't think it was possible.
So they got the HVF blank X45 construction down here on this kind of lower third of it. So super, super strong blank, incredibly sensitive, super lightweight. What they've done is they kind of changed up their reel seat on here. So they kind of went with a Daiwa custom reel seat.
Looks nice.
Yeah, put some carbon fiber on there on the reel seat nut. Kind of just gave it more of like a JDM, more of a custom rod look to it. I believe it's leaps and bounds better looking as cosmetically than the last generation for sure.
I mean, kind of like you just said, they put in so much care to the little details that it looks like a custom rod, but it doesn't have that custom rod price.
No, it comes in at $100. In my personal opinion, this is probably one of the best rods for $100 that's out there on the market. It's backed by Daiwa's warranty, which you really can't beat.
No.
It's got Fuji guides on it. I mean, it's super, super comfortable down here on the reel seat. Nice keeper. It's got a Texas keeper, which is,
my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite as well. I don't like the
plastic.
I don't like the rings. I don't want it down here on the split grip. It's got it right there where personally I want the keeper to be.
100%.
Yeah, just a sweet rod. They've got all the actions too, so got you covered everything down from your lightweight drop shot rod, your jig rods, cranking rods, and all the way up to a flipping stick. On the cranking rods too, they are composite models. So on the cranking rods, you're gonna get that tip that's got a little bit of glass in it. So
what you need.
Super, super soft, and then it's gonna transition to that carbon fiber backbone. So it's gonna give you that action of like a glass rod, but it's not gonna be super heavy like a full glass rod.
So nice.
Yeah, so the composite, those cranking rods are really, really nice. This one here, 7.3 heavy. I mean, if I was looking into this lineup, this is one that you for sure gotta have.
Yeah.
I mean, you can throw, you can do some light flipping and pitching with it. This would be a great jig rod. You can throw, you could throw like toads and buzzbaits, spinnerbaits. This is one of those like do it all type of rods.
Which I like, and kind of the nice thing, like you said earlier, if it's only $100, you don't have to stop at just one. Yeah, sure, that has a great do-all rod, but $100, buy a few, try a few. You can cover your entire lineup.
You can cover a whole lineup with these, and these are awesome performing rods for $100. Like I said, in my personal opinion, probably one of the best $100 rods out on the market. From Daiwa, new Daiwa XT Series. So make sure you check all these out.
Definitely.
On the market.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough to argue whether or not that's the best one out there. But if you guys have a different idea, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Well, hey, that's gonna wrap up this ICAST roundup covering some of our best picks in the office. And guys, stay tuned. We're gonna have a part 2 once more stuff kind of starts coming in. We get a chance to look at a little bit more. So make sure you stay tuned for all that. And definitely check out the website. Some of the stuff's available for pre-order. Get on the list if you see something on here that you want, you don't want to miss out on it, or at the very least sign up for that in-stock notification just by clicking that little red envelope and entering your email in there. But definitely head over to the website. You can learn about these products, shop for the ones that are in stock, pre-order for the ones that are not. Well, what do you got to close us out with?
I just think you hit it all. You know, make
hit it
sure
all.
you get on the pre-order list for especially that BaitSanity
Yeah.
and this g-ratt bait. I mean, these things are awesome, and you don't want to miss out when the batch comes in.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. And again, make sure to check us out when we come back to you with the part 2 of our best of.
Thank you.